Welcome to Chicago Counterpoint with Jeffery Leving. It's a pleasure to be here back again another week to discuss important educational, social, and related issues. As everybody knows, the show Chicago Counterpoint is brought to you by the Fatherhood Educational Institute, an Illinois not-for-profit corporation. If anybody has interest in getting a free brochure concerning the Fatherhood Educational Institute, and I have a whole bunch of them right here, and there's a lot of good information in it. All you have to do is call 312-795-9060, and you can get a free brochure concerning the Fatherhood Educational Institute. Also, we have a free giveaway today. We have Illinois Fathers Resource Guides. These are absolutely free. They're printed by the Illinois Department of Human Services for a state commission, which I chair pursuant to the appointment by Governor Blagojevich, which is the Illinois Council on Responsible Fatherhood. These are absolutely free too. So if you give a call to 312-795-9060, you can get free brochures, resource guides, no cost, and we'd be glad to give you this information. Also, if you want to get on the air to talk, the number is on your screen, 312-738-1060, and we will be glad to entertain your questions. We're very fortunate today to have Bruce Richman on as our guest, or I believe it's pronounced Richman, and he's a CPA, he's a business evaluator, and he's here volunteering his time at no cost to talk about businesses and fraud and how people get ripped off that own businesses, how people who own businesses rip other people off. It's a good way to learn how to protect yourself if you do not want to end up a target looking for an arrow. And he's very bright, and he's an expert in accounting, in reorganization, restructuring, matrimonial matters, and this is a value having him here today. And Mr. Richman, Bruce, it's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here.
And also, he's a world traveler. He's been to countries most people haven't even heard of. And he's just brilliant. Actually, I believe where's the next country you're going to be visiting?
Not sure yet, but it's going to be warm.
Okay, well, it'll be warm in Chicago soon. And also, I'd like to thank our producer, Tim O'Grady, and we have a co-producer, an executive producer who's helping get this show out, Danielle Masterson. And Danielle is also a publicist and an expert in the media and marketing, and it's a pleasure to have Danielle Masterson here today producing this specific show. And thank you, Danielle. I appreciate you helping out and getting this show on the air. She actually was with me when I taped a show for the Canadian Broadcast Corporation earlier today, and she's an important person. She's passionate about children's rights and families, and it's a pleasure to have her here. Now, I do have a bunch of questions for Bruce, and the first one has to do with the IRS, because everybody's scared of the IRS. So what I'd like to know is, does the IRS have any impact during the divorce process?
They can, and that's what you really, I think, have to be careful about, because in many closely held businesses, many times you will come across companies that aren't reporting their income, maybe taking expenses they shouldn't be taking, all which may come out during what we call the discovery process during divorce. And though the IRS may not be called in, it now becomes public information, possibly during the divorce process. And one has to be careful about what that impact's going to be to the owners.
And that's true. One problem I've discovered, you could have two attorneys that could work out an agreement and present it to a judge. A judge could approve it, and the parties can end up divorced. You could have a marital settlement agreement, child support maintenance orders. You could have tax implications written out in the marital settlement agreement concerning everything from property support. And the IRS is not bound by what that judge signs, by what the parties agree to, and what their attorneys agree to. And a lot of people don't realize that, and that's something that's frightening, because a lot of people can end up victimized by believing that their agreement, approved by a judge, will bind the IRS.
That's actually a great point that you make, Jeffrey, because in a case, I think last year that came out, the IRS made it very clear that they are not bound by whatever agreement you come up with in a marital settlement agreement. They're only bound by their own rules and regulations. So one has to be careful to think that just because you came to an agreement between the parties doesn't mean you came to an agreement with the IRS.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be very, very careful. And if your lawyer tells you that whatever the judge signs concerning the tax ramifications of the divorce settlement will bind the IRS with absolute certainty, have that lawyer call me, and I'll explain to him the error in his or her advice, because this is a very dangerous area of the law, and you really have to tread carefully, or your client could end up in terrible trouble. Now, I have a whole bunch of questions here I want to ask you, Bruce, but our producer now has a sign-up with a name on it, and apparently the phones are ringing off the hooks. So our first caller, Cindy. Cindy, you're on the air with Attorney Jeff Leving, and we have Bruce Richman, who's an accountant, a CPA, and what can we do for you today?
I just wanted to know, if I'm married and I had a child from somebody else, and my son has my marriage last name, but his real father knows. He did a DNA test and he knows that that's his son. Does he have the right to change his last name even though I'm still not divorced?
Well, the way to do that then would be the filing of a name change petition. He could file a petition seeking the child's name be changed, and the standard would be what is in the best interest of the child. Can he do it? He can definitely attempt to do it, but the one who determines whether he can do it is the judge, and often that has to do with evidence being presented to the court and the court determining what's in the best interest of the child. So can he do it? It is a possibility. And if you're interested in any other information concerning these matters, you could always call the Fatherhood Educational Institute at 312-795-9060. And also, we're having a free book giveaway today. I've written multiple books, and my latest book, Divorce Wars, which is a field guide to the winning tactics, preemptive strikes, and top maneuvers when divorce gets ugly, is available for free. And if you want a copy, it's absolutely free. It's free to the callers that are listening to the show tonight and that call in tonight. So if you call in tonight, dial 312-795-9060. That's 312-795-9060 for a free copy of Divorce Wars. And I did not design the cover of the book, but I do think it's an interesting cover. But my publisher, HarperCollins, did design that. It's somewhat of a unusual cover.